The Massachusetts National Guard has been called to respond to national disasters, public safety emergencies, and war. Now, members of the Brockton School Committee are calling on the governor to send troops to the city's high school, where teachers and town officials say student violence is getting out of hand. I'm joined by one of those who opposes the decision to bring in Guard troops, at-large City Councilor Winthrop Farwell Jr., and one of the signees on that request, Committee Member Tony Rodriguez. Thank you for joining us today, both of you. Committee Member Rodriguez, I went to a pretty tough high school, and I don't remember the National Guard ever coming in. Why do you think that's necessary?
I think it's necessary because of the dire situation that's happening right now in the city of Brockton, and a lot of that has to do with the financial constraints that we're dealing with the deficit and unable to bring in proper staffing to make sure that the building is safe for all the students and the staff that are currently housed in the building.
So, I mean, I think we have some video of one of the incidents that's going around of a fight that happened in the school. And I see, I mean, it's you know, I mean, it's pretty bad. I saw some pretty ugly fights in high school, but I didn't see too many that were like that. We also have reports of, you know, of a teacher whose arm was broken when they were breaking up a fight. This is a pretty extreme. What has happened at the high school that, you know, lots of high schools have problems, but this is out of the ordinary. What's happened that it's taken it up to this level?
I believe a lot of it has to do with lack of discipline with a lot of students, and this all starts at home, and some of these parents need to be held accountable for these students' actions. There's a lot of you know, we had a restructure in the district because of our finances, and we basically got rid of a building so it could house a public safety complex where we had 3 programs, and there wasn't no clear direction of how to address that and where we were going to place these students. One of the programs was the Champion High School, which is a school for kids that high needs, that have social emotional issues and anxiety. And it's supposed to be a choice high school for, you know, to remove these kids that can't be in a large setting so they can get the proper education. And the school committee voted to send that program back to the high school where we removed some of these students. And that was the poorest decision ever. I didn't agree with it. And also my colleague, Mrs. Azak. But, you know, we're just one vote, and that was the wrong thing to do. And this is part of the problem. Not really thinking it out. And, you know, the finances of the city, not just the school, put us into this position.
Councilor Farwell, you're opposed to this request.
Yes, I am. I for a number of reasons, disregarding the fact that the National Guard is a professional military organization, which I do not believe is either trained, equipped, or appropriate for a school setting. We have a brand new principal. He's been on the job perhaps 6 weeks. I certainly think we ought to give him a chance to get assimilated into the issues and the culture of the high school. This was not something that was fully discussed by the Brockton School Committee. I mean, they have a safety and security committee. They could have referred this to that committee and had the superintendent and the principal come in and ask them for a report within 30 days as to what they think should be the immediate steps taken. And lastly, and most importantly, we have an exceptional staff. I don't want the issues that are transpiring to overshadow the fact that from teachers to guidance counselors to cafeteria workers to custodians, we have an exceptional staff at the high school. And I think if we convene a group of people and listen to them as to what their recommendations might be, because the teachers know the kids. I mean, they have them in class. They know them well. If we listen to them, I think we can craft a plan that would be pretty successful.
Committee Member Rodriguez?
We've done that. It's been happening. Back in January 31st, myself and the 4 members, people like to call it now on social media, we requested that meeting. We brought those staff. It wasn't the whole body. It was 4 individuals on the board that requested it through the vice chair for us to have a safety meeting, and we invited the educators and the staff in the building to shine light of what's really going on. Not sugarcoating what's going on. Yes, I agree with Mr. Farwell. We have exceptional staff in the building. But it's my job and the committee's job to make sure that every student is safe, including our staff that is in there. And right now, it's not a time of waiting and trying to plan it out. March is next week. You know, it's meeting after meeting after meeting You have literally 3 months left of school, and to keep having these meetings and pushing it off. And that's why we made that dire request to the governor through our chairman, Mayor Sullivan, to get that the National Guard in here. You also need to take into account that the National Guard has been deployed by former Governor Baker to address transportation across the Commonwealth, where a lot of districts were needed transportation to drive buses. Across the country, you see the National Guard being used as substitute teachers because across the country, there's the teacher population of educators is declining. With the city of Brockton, we can't just wait until a tragedy happens and then try to be active on it. We need to be proactive. And right now, where we are is to making sure that the students are safe. What's happening every day, the counselor knows, but, I don't like receiving videos and tagged on social media and emails of daily fights. Students wandering the hallways like it's in between class when they're supposed to be in classrooms. When you look at 20 to 25 teachers not inside of the building, that leaves roughly 600 to 700 students without any supervision. 35 teachers called out. That's close to 1,100 students. What do you think is going to happen when you have teenagers roaming freely and the staff don't have the support? So the support that we're requesting is for the National Guard to be activated to make sure that the school is safe. If the National Guard can be activated to transport students, they should be able to be in the schools, which they have been across the country. We use them for COVID. So that's where our request is. We can't have meetings over meetings and having certain people sitting in the rooms and certain members of the committee is not involved. You have to know that the school committee is the governing body of the school district, but we have to work together. And there's a divide that started off that shouldn't have started off. We should have hit the ground running with the deficit that we're dealing with, and it's being hampered by political.
Counselor, I want to give you a chance to jump in here, because even if you think that the Guard is not the right solution, and the Guard and their soldiers at the end of the day, this is a level of violence that the committee member is describing that, learning does not seem possible in that environment. I think a lot of parents in that school might say that referring it to a committee is not the right response.
Listen, I'm not suggesting we run the school by committee. I'm just suggesting that if you're going to suggest an unprecedented action of bringing uniformed National Guards people into the Brockton Public Schools, you should convene all the stakeholders and ask them for their input. And that includes parents, includes staff, certainly the new principal. We need to start enforcing discipline before we go to that measure. And we don't do that. We do not suspend children. We do not crack down on students who don't attend classes, who roam the hallways. We've got to get our house in order before we expect some outside force to come in and do it for us. And that is the school committee's responsibility. Mr. Rodriguez is quite right. And this has been going on for years. There are some school committee members who have been there 8 years, more than 8 years. He's been there 4 years, going on 5. And I think it's time for the school committee to send a directive to the principal, which they have every right to do because they can enact policies, and say, start addressing the frequent flyers, if you will, those who absolutely refuse to cooperate with the school code of conduct. Hold mandatory parental conferences. If we start bringing in those who just absolutely refuse to cooperate with their parents, I really think we're going to see a turnaround, albeit not overnight, but I think we're going to see a turnaround in the attitudes of the children.
So I think we could keep this conversation going for quite a long time, and I think the students and the parents at Brockton High School deserve that conversation. I hope we can keep it on here and in other forum as well. But Tony Rodriguez, Winthrop Farwell, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.